Hello guys, welcome back once again. I just switched my gadget and I'm gonna try again. Works this time.
Okay, I can hear you now. Let's try it this time around. I think
Oh,
I can
yeah.
hear you.
Okay. I just changed the gadget, so maybe
It
there's
stays the
something with
same.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. So you were talking about why you took on this field.
Yeah. So like I said, I always had an interest in the human mind, in healing. I was always a good listener, and I thought that there's nothing more satisfying than actually being able to heal people if they have traumas or whatever mental health issues they might be going through. It's very satisfying for me. It's like why doctors become doctors, right? Essentially, they
Mm,
just want to be healers and be able to help. So it's very satisfying for me.
wow, that's so beautifully said, Mahi. Mahi, now, what kind of issues do you foresee in our society regarding your work field?
So see, it can never be a generalization because I think there's so many people going through a multitude of things. So you can't
Mm,
just generalize and say, but I do think that after COVID, we will be seeing a lot more anxiety in people, perhaps
mhm.
even depression, because I think all of us are feeling so vulnerable and lonely and uncertain. And I think that causes a lot of anxiousness. So I think in times to come, we will be seeing that. We'll probably be seeing after effects of this on children as well. So it's been a
Mm,
hard time for everybody. And also, like I said, the vulnerability, the uncertainty, the loneliness of not knowing when it's going to end, how life will be after it ends. There's a lot that we
right,
might.
right. And I totally agree with you. See, I suffer from anxiety, and I did see once the COVID started. Oh my goodness, it was like over the roof, and
Yeah.
I could see that because of my anxiety, everybody was getting anxious at home because I was freaking out, that they were freaking out, and it took me a while. I'll say around 2 weeks ago, I just stopped and I said, "What am I doing? I'm just throwing it to everybody in the house. So I need to back off and relax and just keep it to myself because I have
Well,
parents and they're getting
I'm glad
anxious."
that you were able to do that. A lot of times people can't control the anxiety that they're going through. Anxiety
Mm,
is essentially unresolved trauma that manifests in your body. So whereas some people can, a lot of times you can't control the panic attacks and anxiety that you may go through. And also I want to add that I think after COVID, we will also be seeing an increase in domestic abuse and child abuse,
mm,
and also another reason why we at home should be more vigilant and have an eye.
right.
Yeah. So because so
Uh,
many people silently suffering.
what would you advise, since you brought it up? What are you advising, or what would you advise to us all in general, that though you've given us the heads up that we're expecting this, uh, how will we cope with it? What kind of solutions do you expect from us as individuals in this situation?
So I think if we're just talking about COVID and feeling anxiety at home and loneliness, I think the key to that is try and have consistency, try and have a structure. I think that always helps. It makes you feel more control of the situation. So if you can, even if you're at home, not doing anything, you're not being able to go to work, have a structure, wake up, have, gym if you can, meditate if you can, but having a structure and consistency helps you kind of plan the day and gives you a more sense of a control in that essence
So you're basically saying just trying to have a routine which which we would
that
have
you
had.
follow. Yeah, a structure that you can follow. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that does make sense. Mahim, please talk about a bit on emotional abuse and narcissism.
Okay. So I've spoken about this a lot, and again, I feel like emotional abuse and personality disorders such as narcissistic personality disorder or codependency or dissociative disorder, avoided attachment behaviors, all stem from childhood wounds or childhood neglects that have been unmet, and there's not a much awareness. And if you don't have awareness, you're not going to know if you're dealing with a narcissist. You're not going to know when you're being subjected to emotional or narcissistic abuse. So I think before anything, awareness is more important for us to be self-aware, for us to know what we're dealing with, because emotional abuse also is such a broad spectrum. There's so many variations to emotional abuse, whether that's actual verbal abuse, physical abuse, or of course we know about sexual, and physical abuse is very black and white. You know when it's happening to you. The problem with emotional abuse is that most of the time you don't even know that it's happening to you. So again, inform yourself, read up about it, so that if it is happening to you and you are in a situation, for example, if you're being isolated or gaslighted, or passive aggressive comments, or being put down or manipulated, then you're able to see through that. Whether it's like, financial abuse that you're going through, or somebody's trying to isolate you or gaslight you. There's so many ways in which emotional abuse can happen to us. In that sense, even somebody giving you the silent treatment or stonewalling you, and stonewalling is when they just don't want to talk to you or confront you, no resolution to conflict. um, that's also a form of emotional abuse.
Right, right. Well said. And Maheen, I personally feel that our society, Pakistan especially, I feel that there is more narcissism because the way the culture in society is, because men, it's a male dominant country and men get away with so much. Uh,
Yeah,
and, and that probably is one of the biggest problems, because forget about emotional abuse, they get away from all kind of physical abuse, and women around them advocate that. So
yeah,
I feel like you're doing a brilliant job, and I see most of your posts, they're amazing, because you see, when I just currently moved back from USA a year and a half, I would say, ago, and I just, just generally in my circle, I started to ask people, do you know about narcissism? I myself didn't know. I just came over it, uh, going through Google one time, and so I just was curious to know if people know here, and my response was zero. And I'm talking about adults who I thought would be well informed. You look up to people, you're like, oh, they probably know everything.
yeah.
And they came up and they said, what is narcissism? And I was like, oh, really? You don't even know what it is? And some of my few friends said, this is happening, and I was like, you need to read up on what is emotional abuse and what is narcissism. And before we go any further, I want to really, really thank you and appreciate you for the work you're doing. It's so amazing.
Thank you
We
so much.
need we need more people like you who can spread awareness. Our society definitely needs it. It's so toxic. And the more we bring awareness to it, the more we will be able to bring solutions forward with it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that um, the lack of awareness sometimes, it's not just social, it's not just our like it's not just our society. And like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
generalize. I think narcissism across the board is everywhere. Sometimes I say that it's like narcissism is a pandemic too. It's always been there, but it's just that we're recognizing it more now because, like I said, now we know what it is. So again, yeah, patriarchal societies do play a role in that. I think when there's so much entitlement given to men, there's so much more that they think that they can get away with. But again, I want to clarify here that it's not just societies that create it. Like I said, personality disorder, especially the kind like narcissism, is developed when you have deep emotional neglect. What happens is that if you're neglected emotionally as a child, or your needs aren't met, or you're not validated, it starts as a form of self-defense mechanism and it turns into a personality disorder. So that's what it is. And again, it can be different things that happen to you. So essentially, what happens is that your heels haven't been you haven't healed from your wounds as a child.
Mm-hmm. Well said, well said. Do you think that nature and nurture both play a role in narcissism, or no?
Yeah, they do, but again, right? Like I said, it stems from your childhood, so it can be
Yes.
something as simple as that your parents couldn't validate you, they couldn't be there for you emotionally that you would have wanted, and so to create that self-defense mechanism, you seek that validation externally.
Right, right. Mahim, please tell me, what would you suggest for women who were in narcissist abuse, and they've been able to survive? What tips would you give them for their healing journey?
So if you were in an abusive, narcissistic, abusive relationship, there are two different dimensions. One is whether you're currently still stuck in that relationship, in which case you have to understand how damaging it is being with a narcissist. Slowly, they kind of strip you of all self-worth. They chip into your personality, and narcissists are also called emotional vampires for that reason. So if you are in that relationship, one of the main things that you can do for yourself, unfortunately, is go no contact. If you can find a way to leave that toxic relationship, that would be ideal. If you can't, you have to find ways of coping. But if you have been managed to get out of that relationship, you've been courageous enough to leave a narcissistic relationship. And again, I want to add over here, one of the hardest things to do is leave a narcissistic relationship because you get trauma bonded. When the narcissistic cycle of abuse happens, you get trauma bonded to that partner. And also, there's a lot of self blame because initially in the love bombing phase, when the narcissist is trying to attract you, they will become that perfect person you need them to be. They will be that perfect person who listens and is emotional, and slowly, slowly, so the three phases: the love bombing, the de-evaluation, and the discard. So when the de-evaluation phase is happening, suddenly everything is wrong with you, nothing you do is good enough, and you're walking around eggshells because you can't understand. That's when cognitive dissonance happens, where you're like, but this person loved me and they were so amazing to me, and now they hate me. What am I doing wrong? That self-blame brings you to a point where you're very vulnerable. That's when they chip into your personality. That's when they degrade you. That's when they kind of demean you. And eventually, when they've gotten all their narcissistic supply from you, they discard you and move on. So if you have had the courage to now finally get out of a narcissistic relationship, the number one thing you need to know that it was not about you, it was not your fault, you are not to blame, they're suffering from a personality disorder. And their only means to thrive and survive is by making other people feel bad about themselves. So they project their own demons onto other people. So the blame should not be on you. The guilt should not be yours. Yes, it's painful leaving that relationship. It's also painful because you don't know the reality. You think this person was one way and the mask has come off and they're absolutely somebody else. So in that confusion, it's very hard. But heal, process your emotions, mourn the relationship, mourn the person that they thought that you thought they were, mourn yourself and who you were in that relationship, and understand that the abuse that you went through, and no matter how much they demeaned you and put you down, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. And once you leave that situation, toxic situation, eventually you will feel liberated, you will find yourself again, you'll regain your strength and your personality back. So you just have to hang on and stay strong. And please remain no contact. That's the only way, because the narcissist has a way of hooking you back in, and keeping you in that space.
So when you say no contact, what advice would you give to women or men who have children involved?
So if you have to co-parent with a narcissist, and again, you can never co-parent with a narcissist, you'd always parallel parent with a narcissist, and know that they will use children as pawns. They will try and get the children against you as well. Understand that, know that. You can't micromanage that relationship. What you can try and do is minimize contact if you can. Hopefully you have custody of the children. And in that essence, a kind of never also involve your children in a way that don't ever speak negatively about your ex-partner to the children, because there'll be so much negativity and toxicness happening on their end that children always need one stable parent and one
Parent.
stable caregiver. So be that nurturing, loving, stable parent for your child, and trust your child that over time they will see through things, they will see through the manipulation. All they need is consistency and love, and you need to be that strong parent for them. You, of course, you can't take them away from your ex-partner if they are narcissistic, but you can minimize the damage that would happen to them. And again, if you've broken away from a narcissistic abusive relationship, you've protected your children. So good on you, because being in that
Wow.
relationship was much more damaging for the children.
Right. Right. In essence, do you think that kids also become narcissists because they were in that environment, or do you think they just turn out fine?
Yes, I do think that narcissism is generational trauma that is passed on. But again, if you're that parent that hasn't been in that generational cycle of abuse and trauma, then you can do your part in kind of making sure that your children don't become narcissistic. And again, the only way you can do that is by fulfilling their needs, validating them, being there for them, and providing them a secure, nurturing environment.
Right, right. Guys, we didn't have much time with her. I really want to thank her that on a short
Thank
notice she was
you.
able to come on board and share her expertise. I've learned so much from her. Maheen, a quick message for the audience, please.
Well, anybody that is going through hardships, please know that you are stronger than your fears, that you have the ability to overcome them. You're not alone. If it's overwhelming, please reach out for support. And there's always hope and love, and just look after yourself. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Maheen. Thank you,
Thank
everybody. Take care of yourselves. Khuda Hafiz. Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.